I looked for it on Netflix and it wasn't there. I was like, man, how am I supposed to watch this?
I spent an hour today trying to say, hey, but Hulu said I could come in. Hey, you ain't on the list.
Yeah, and not with them shoes on.
No. Hulu, come on in, but you ain't on the list.
Yeah, you can go
Hulu,
ahead and
tell them I'm with you.
Yeah, hold on. So, I would dare say, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would agree with me. You're a Michael Jordan fan. I'm sure you would agree with me too. Would you say that Michael Jordan is in the top 5 of some of the most famous people in the world?
Sure.
The top 5.
Top 5.
I'm going to go with that. Top 5 of one of the most famous people in the world. He's so famous that everyone.
Yeah, he can go anywhere in the world, so somebody's going to know who he is.
Everyone. He's another one of those guys who crossed color lines. He crossed, country lines. He was internationally known. Mm-hmm. People in third world, he was people in third world countries,
danced.
Man. Yeah, he did all that. People in third world countries knew who this guy was,
course,
man. You know, who normally don't keep up with the rest of the world at all, but they know Michael Jordan.
Yeah, they always keep up with music and sports.
And when everyone had to keep up with Michael, just so you know what's happening. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan was such a cultural phenomenon that you had to know about Michael Jordan if you didn't want to be ostracized from society. If you want to be left out.
Right.
I want to be like Mike.
I want to be like Mike.
Yeah.
I want to be.
All these broke-ass kids with no athletic ability.
I want to be like Mike.
Yeah, you'll never be like Mike.
You're not going to be like Mike.
No. You be like Mike, the drug dealer down the street, but you ain't going to be like Michael Jordan.
Mike the janitor.
Yeah, you might be like Mike the janitor. Yeah. Even nerds that hated sports, man, they were mad as they're like, God damn it, I'll see what this guy's all about. I guess I'll see a black man fly. And even at the time when it happened, they would see Michael Jordan play, and they would be like, my God.
He's beautiful.
He's a mutant.
Yeah.
He's a real superhero.
Just like in those books I read.
Yeah, he's just like in the funny books I read.
Funny books.
Yeah, like, my God, he's a real superhero.
Larry Bird's like, man, this black guy.
Larry Bird was just dizzy.
Yeah, I know. And they were friends, too.
The birds were tweeting.
Yeah, Larry. Yeah,
real birds are tweeting.
Yeah. Jesus, where'd he go?
There's Jordan. He blows by Perry.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Where'd he come
Jesus, man.
from? And that's with the hair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even that aerodynamic yet.
Just imagine how he was when he was slick.
Yeah, he was slick. He was going.
It was like the hand of God came down and just lifted him up.
Yeah.
What is this fucking...
Like that, especially that one. Yeah.
You know in video games when you do a double jump?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan did that shit.
Yeah.
It's like, where did the second force come from that lifted him up?
It's like when you playing a basketball game, especially back in the day when the video game makers didn't give a fuck, they couldn't do it. And like, you're like, man, this game is bullshit. This guy, you can't stop him. He's like flying over place and making every shot. That was Jordan in real life.
That was Jordan in real life. It was just like there was another invisible platform or another gust of wind that just came up and just pushed him up there, man. It's like, what the f***? This guy's not even human.
The guy just threw his controller down.
Front, pressures and move to the hoop for the right. Scoop shot, good on the reverse.
I'm telling you, everybody guarding him was like, man, that wasn't even necessary. You could have just done the regular goddamn layup.
I know. I wasn't even holding you that hard.
Yeah, exactly. He went, no, other side, because I can. And I'm like, man, f*** this guy.
Yeah. Be so confused. They still guarding. He's not even there. Everybody watched these playoff events with him. And as I said, man, even if you didn't watch the games, your life was dominated by Michael Jordan, whether you wanted it or not. You know, you be watching cartoons one day. You hate sports, but f*** it, you going to watch this commercial.
Like Mike, if I could be like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
I've never seen a commercial just crush millions of kids' dreams.
Right. Michael laughing like, look at this little.
Yeah, I can't tell how many parents were on the couch and just told their kids, you will never be that. You just stop right now. You will never be this.
Realistic commercial.
Your plan is to join the NBA. You're going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
Yeah. That commercial made so many kids say, I will be like Mike. And adults just say, you will never be like Mike.
Nope. And they just
Get
the
shit
up,
out your...
That's right.
You know what? Let me just stump you in your neck right now.
Pop that basketball.
He popped up in your cartoons, man. You be watching, everybody love Bugs Bunny. Like, well, this is a nerd's thing right here. He'll never pop up in here.
Pardon me, Mr. Jordan. Could I have your audit year, John Hancock?
What's going on here?
We need your help.
You know what? Everybody knows.
So bad.
No, everybody. Hey, what's going on?
What's going on here?
It's like, did they really knock your ass out? Did they really hit you over the head when you did this? What's going on here? You know,
What are you thinking with this?
everybody knows that I worked on this for just a little. But I worked at a studio full of nerds who hated sports. But there they were, slaving away for Michael Jordan. Working for Michael.
Working for Mike.
Working for Mike. Yeah, man.
This movie was huge when it came out, too.
And it was huge. Michael Jordan's not even playing basketball anymore.
Playing golf.
He's playing golf. And whatever, it's still this situation where whatever Michael Jordan does, people are still talking about it. It's still something that you got to see. It's still something that is that has everybody fascinated. And that is what we have here with this documentary series on ESPN, The Last Dance. And, you know, it could be that everyone is just going through basketball withdrawals right now. Ain't no games on. People can't see any sports happening, any sports really, unless you want to watch esports and people do video games. But, you know, nobody really has any sports going on.
Come
so
on,
maybe
the
this,
N-word.
yeah, yeah. But, you know, maybe this is something that's filling that empty space for people. But whatever it is, everyone is talking about it. And it's again at that point where everybody feels like, well, shit, since everybody's talking about it, I'm left out on the discussion. Nobody's if I don't watch it, if I don't know what's going on, then I'm looking stupid. So I gotta say something too. So I watched it since everyone's talking about it, you know. But here's the thing, you know, I watched it, went through it, and as you know, I'm not the biggest sports fan. I like sports, but I'm not the biggest sports fan. So the question is, all right, everybody's watching it, but Corey, man, what if I'm not a sports fan? What if I'm somebody who just, you know, really hates sports, but I don't want to be left out the conversation? Well, you know what? I think that me being somebody, as I said, who's not really into sports a whole lot, but can be open-minded and appreciate a lot of things, I'm a great candidate to come in and tell you whether this is something that you should watch, especially now that you got nothing else to do. You're sitting at home, got plenty of time to watch things. You run out of movies, you run out of shows, and well, now there's this thing that everybody's telling you to watch. Let's go ahead and look at the trailer for this, and I will let you know whether sports fans or non-sports fans alike, this is something that would appeal to them.
My mentality was to go out and win at any cost.
Let me tell you this, how much people are talking about it. People are talking about this so much that they even have articles now telling people not what whiskey Michael Jordan drinks, but what whiskey glass that he's drinking from.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, people that the hell with the whiskey. I want to feel like I'm drinking right after Jordan.
Right. Drinking after.
Yeah. Yeah,
What kind
man.
of cigar is that? I guarantee you it's Cuban.
And got the cigar right there,
I mean,
man.
he had cigars in the locker room
Yeah, he should do.
and the private plane. You can't crack no window at 20,000 feet.
That's true.
You're not even supposed to be smoking that high.
No.
And back, as you said, when he had hair. When he had hair, he was smoking. Yeah, he was smoking cigars back then. That's where it started.
He's been doing that.
Yeah, people are talking about this so much. They even want to be like Mike so much. They want to be an alcoholic like Mike. You know, they want to drink like Mike.
Well, hey, man, if smoking cigars and drinking whiskey gets you that big ass house, I'll do it.
Yeah,
hell yeah! I've seen caves that big. Right
I mean,
there.
God damn, look back there.
Yeah,
Everything's white, too.
that's a palace.
This quarantine, this shit is bullshit. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I'm losing my goddamn mind.
Yeah, you could social distance in that house just because it's that big.
I'm surprised I didn't see a just lost back there.
Yeah.
A guest he had over like a year ago. He just wandering around, a dude with a beard, just like, how the do I get out of here?
Wait, what year is it? Who's the president now?
Yeah.
He turns around like in Beauty and the Beast. I told you to stay on the West Wing.
Let me start by saying that no matter what, this is still a great palate cleanser. After all the crazy shit that you ate when you watched.
This is my way of living, and nobody's going to tell me any otherwise.
That is Tiger King. That's the other one everybody was talking about before. That eventually became such a cultural phenomenon that just got on people's goddamn nerves.
Yeah.
To the point where,
Especially Martin.
Martin loved it and I hate it. All these people out here, it was cool when the smart people are watching it, but now the dumb are watching this, and I don't like it anymore. It cannot be denied that at points it had the sensationalism of reality TV, and that's how it was. Now this, with the exception of Dennis Rodman's crazy ass.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you could not have picked a better picture for that segue.
And I looked at it.
Dennis Rodman has nothing but pictures like that.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, just that one was just perfect.
Trying to find a normal picture of Dennis Rodman was the challenge. I gave up. I said, I'll go with this.
That's him going to get his mail.
That's him going to court.
Yeah. Going to contest the traffic ticket.
Going to get my fan letters. This. You have to be very f***ed up to ever wake up with that shit.
Yeah. It's like he's talking to his lawyer saying, you said to dress conservatively, right?
Because I tried to be respectful. I said, let me find, because I don't want to be cheap. Let me find a normal picture of Dennis. Never mind. I ain't got that much time.
That's the most normal one right there.
The most normal one was him looking like a fucking purple highlighter. Besides Dennis Rodman, who was in here, man, I have to tell you that everybody in this, everybody is calm. Everybody is somewhat normal. I mean, we're still talking about celebrities who have millions of dollars, but they're normal. Everybody's calm. Everybody's normal. No one is on meth. Everybody has their teeth.
Right.
It's just it's something to watch. Where now look, I'm still waiting on somebody like Dennis Rodman to pop up in Tiger King, but everybody else, else is pretty much straightforward, giving straightforward testimony of the history of what we have.
Tiger King, as much as it's a documentary, it has a narrative, and it skews a certain way to keep that narrative going. Whereas this is not doing that. It's not casting a story. It's not like, oh, we got to make this person a villain. There is one person in this who at one point you go like, okay, this guy's the bad guy, only to be followed up by other people who say like, nah, I vouch for him.
But if you're asking me to get straight to the point of this question, whether or not, if you are a sports fan, will you like this? And my initial answer is, if you just hate sports, I mean, you actively protest sports. You're the guy at the party that has to let everybody know when you declare how bad sports are. Everybody in the room can hear you and hate you. Then you know what? No, this is not for you. If you're really bored by sports, even because it's going deep into sports history, that's unavoidable. There's a lot of names that are thrown out that you won't know. There's a lot of jargon that's thrown out that you probably won't know. Now, I will say this. All of that could change as they get beyond these 2 episodes that I saw. There's only 2 episodes out there. I know that this whole series is made available because it's 10 episodes that they're showing over 5 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, it's 10 episodes. They showed two episodes for the next for 5 weeks. So already have 1 week.
There's a reason why it's so long, Martin. Because they really want to mainly focus on, and this is why I'm a big fan of this, is when I was a big sports fan. Because
so you've seen this?
I've not seen the whole thing, but I know a lot of what they're already showing because I followed that dream team they had. And that was when I was a junior and senior in high school.
Yeah.
And I was all Sanchez bad. I was playing basketball, all that stuff. That's when they had Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman.
Right.
And they were tearing it up, killing everything.
Yeah.
Finals.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was when, Jordan, you had Michael Jordan was a leader, Scotty, who was a guy that was always in the clutch, and you had Rodman, who was just like anything that was in the air, he was snagging the rebound. Yeah. And also his crazy antics, but also the fact that people could understand, like, this out partying all night long, and he's the best athlete in the team. And, with all the crazy stuff like when he went to the Bulls, pick a number, and he was like, 91. And remember, he picked the number 91 for his jersey, and no one had ever done shit like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it was a really cool, crazy time.
It's a lot of history is what you're saying.
A lot of history, and Phil Jackson was the dad, but also, like, Scotty and Michael weren't getting along a lot, too, in that time. And they didn't like Dennis, but Dennis liked them, which is really funny. Dennis Rodman had a problem with Eddie, but they were like, man, this.
Well, that's because Dennis Rodman was always doing his own thing.
Right,
man.
this cross-dressing Negro don't stop starting fights.
If you couldn't tell, Dennis Rodman didn't give a about it.
No, he didn't.
It might be something for you to get through. That's the impression that I got. I love a good documentary, so I'm a little more open to this. But Martin, do you feel like non-sports fans, this is something that after they've heard about a lot of people talking about this is something that they could get into?
No.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing.
Oh wow,
not at all. Because I'm a lackadaisical sports fan, and especially basketball has never really been my thing. So watching this, the only thing that it keeps me interested is it's because it's fairly recent history because I lived through this time. So it's mildly interesting to see what was going on behind the scenes.
I do think it's cool to see the commentary from the actual NBA legends today. And, we hardly ever hear Michael Jordan coming out and talking these days,
Oh, never.
Yeah, never. So this is something that's really fascinating to see with Michael Jordan giving even just small stories about his experience coming up, man. There might be some things that are going on that we probably didn't even know about. And plus, it's heavy on nostalgia, man. If you lived through the 90s, then you lived through this period, then this is definitely for you.
Yeah, I'm already feeling that way because that was an exciting time for me.
I would say the best that it works for is for people who are probably middle ground like me, probably maybe a higher level. But, there are a lot of things in here that I learned.
Now, when you talk about inspiring, it is to see his work ethic,
man,
and how he got to be where he was.
Yeah,
I mean that is definitely inspiring.
Yeah, people call it the Michael Jordan documentary, but really it's about the Chicago Bulls, and it's about their 97-98 season where they were on their 6th championship.
Yeah, I think they won that back to back those 2 years. But I think
looking at this, this is when the 97-98 season, when they allowed a camera crew to come in and film them at the time, so you're able to see some footage that you probably haven't seen before.
Right, because Jordan was the one that had to release it.
He's had, yeah. So this is fascinating, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love this documentary. I'm not even a huge sports fan, but they released a lot of footage that you didn't get to see at the time until now, and they allowed themselves to be filmed, but some of the stuff you haven't seen. And they would go, and they would go on to win their 6th championship. But it's also the season that Jordan decided to leave.
For real that time.
For real that time, real retirement. A big part of that is when, because of inside politics, Phil Jackson, the coach, was told that this would be your last season, just because, from shallow ass politics, just say, hey, we just want to mix things up.
Yeah,
this guy was on.
Yeah,
I was like, what the. Man, this dude is like, him and Jordan are the reason why this team is where they are. Man, they shaped it up, and they just wanted to
they didn't want to play for anybody but Phil.
Yeah.
If being the best doesn't secure your position, then what will?
Yeah, it was really cool to see a lot of things like the inner politics that were happening when they were good, man. When they had something, Jordan said, man, we're speaking. The team and our coach, we're speaking for ourselves, man. Well, the talent is out there on the court. We're on the front line.
There was something else going on there too, I think.
Yeah, no, it was some other things happening. I mean, it was some really stupid shit going on.
There's always some dumb stuff, and people don't want to. The owners never want to pay the people that are making the money what they should be making. They never.
Well, the thing is, I will say to that, we're so early in. I'm curious as to find out what it is because it seemed like maybe there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this stuff will come out later on with some of the other team members that you're talking about.
Amongst the 8 episodes.
The other 8 episodes that are coming.
The ones you're not.
Tell me about it.
Because I'm very eager to see these other episodes, and I will tell you why in a little bit. Because, the thing is, they call it the Michael Jordan doc, but it's mostly about, right now, for the first couple of episodes, they center a lot on Michael Jordan, and you can't get around that, man.
No. But I mean, if they didn't, people would be like, "Hey, what's up? Was Michael Jordan on the team too?"
Well, Michael Jordan was such a huge part of what that team. Michael Jordan was leading that team, man. If Scotty, and listen, this is part of the documentary. I don't want to get too much into jargon, but they talk about how if Michael Jordan didn't have certain team members there, they would not. Michael Jordan was just pulling the team himself.
Sure.
And that is one of the things to learn about with Michael Jordan is like Michael Jordan, man. He was the one throughout these 2 episodes, it's inspiring to see his story because as you watch Jordan through this, you don't have to be a part of sports, just to answer your question, to really look at this guy and be like, wow, he had an amazing work ethic. And it goes beyond work ethic. He had passion. He had drive.
Yeah, he wasn't writing 19 scripts a day or anything.
No, nothing like that. No. He had vision, man. This is a guy who was obsessed with winning. Regardless of the controversies out there, regardless how many times they done put up this man crying, this crying Jordan meme that we see right here. The man has become a meme now. But I think this is why this documentary is so cool, because a lot of people should be reminded about how Jordan, not only it was not those early rumors about him. Beyond that, when he was not, say what you will about him later, gambling, womanizing, all porn stars and shit. It was a lot of stuff he done, crying.
That was not him.
He had years of saying no to everything.
Yeah, he
so eventually,
Jesus, I hate to say this, they made this thing called Negro face cookies, and he looked just like this. I hate to say, but.
Can we catch a break? God damn, man.
But
Leave us alone.
Michael Jordan, early on in the day, and one of the things you learn about from this documentary is that Michael Jordan was he was a straight shooter, man. He was a straight arrow. He had early on. He said, "Hey, man, this is one of the reasons why he was he's probably it attributes to why he was the greatest. He really focused on what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Despite all of the temptation that was thrown at him, he could easily walk away and say, look, this is why I'm here and this is what I'm sticking to.
Lines over here, you got your weed smokers over here. If they come and raid this place, just as guilty as everybody else that's in this room.
Even looking at how he speaks over time.
Smart.
Yeah, he was smart, man. There's a lot of stuff later that happened that comes with money.
Yeah, I want to do that.
It's funny because when the reporter brings that up about the traveling cocaine circus, I was thinking he was going to dodge it or be like, well, But that answer he gave, I was like, man, he's really sincere. And he really did stay away from that because he gave a reason why he was so focused on winning and being the best that he could.
And that's one of the things that was really great to see. It's one of the things that's a really great reminder to people why he is, as they say, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, as people keep saying, because he was focused, man. And a lot of people need to see this again. And I found this, I looked at this and I was like, Jesus, man, this is really, really inspiring to see. It shows you, maybe they're doing some Game of Thrones shit. They're dropping hints of how somebody's going to be corrupted later. To the point of being almost tyrannical. You see seeds laid down in the documentary that are put up, that are approached and confronted later on down the line, which is why I think that this is another reason that this documentary works, because that's what documentaries do. They tell you the reason why they pull you in into a subject that you might not care about is because they pull you in with good storytelling, and this does exactly that to me. I was like, yeah, I ain't crying now. Got them crazy eyes.
What you waiting for?
Yeah, a lot of people hated Jordan later on down the line because he would push them, and then people have to come back later and be like, "Yeah, but I was." You know
what, man? I was happy they start to show these scenes because so often his portrayal is so angelic, but seeing how he was hard on the other players, it's like this makes sense. Watching Jordan do all this to be the best, has it inspired you to stop drinking?
No. Shit, I'm gonna drink more. Like Mike, I'm gonna be like,
you're gonna do it suit you. You still gonna drink and yell at people and throw chairs.
Yes,
exactly.
You know what, Martin? Here's a hit, man. Martin, let me tell you something. Every time I start to mellow out, every time I start to be like, man, maybe I shouldn't do this, I'm showing some shit that I'm like, no, I gotta yell at. Because, man, I got to scream at people. I got to drink and get drunk and let them see that they fucking up.
I'll tell you, he's got a point, though. Last week, I was like, man, I'm just going to go home and chill and enjoy the air. He said, what?
Yeah.
I was like,
no.
God damn it.
Man, every time I'm about to get straight, I see a that's made it. I see somebody that said, I got here by being a dick. And I say, yes, I was right all the time. Martin says that they don't have any clear-cut villain in this. And that's what I appreciate. I admired that very much because they present somebody as a villain, and then they said, nah, he's just a guy that has flaws and also does his job just like anybody else. He's great at his job, and when he wasn't doing his job, he was up like anybody else would.
Yeah,
Jerry?
right.
Who, Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry Krause.
Jerry Krause, yeah.
Yeah, the general manager, man. Jerry Krause is he was the GM, man. And listen, Michael Jordan hated this. Damn. Every time I see this, I hear "Good evening."
Well, that or he looks like.
I mean, look, it's easy to not want to like the guy because he's not attractive.
He looks like a dude that should have a top hat and fight the Batman. But Jerry Krause is a guy that he was the GM, and Michael Jordan, he did not like this guy. He hated this guy.
There, yeah.
And what it was, and they make him sympathetic because, I mean, look, you have to sit back and just leave the questions for yourself and leave the answers for yourself. Was this guy just doing his job to what he sees best or as he saw fit? Because some people said, and a lot of people seem to be, they seem to be on the same opinion here. Jerry Krause was a guy that just, he was very, he had a lot of, what would you call it? He was insecure. Jerry Krause was very insecure. They said that this was a guy who he did not, with the conflict between him and Michael is that he did not like for the team members to get all the attention, even though they were the ones posted up and playing ball, man.
Right. Does he want the attention?
Yeah, it was like, man, dude, take your money and be quiet. Yeah. But they were just
he wanted everybody to know that, hey, it's the organization more than the team.
And
that makes the wins.
No one's gonna ever think that though.
He's right.
Not the general public.
But no one's out there trading Jerry Krause cards.
No.
Yeah.
No one's sitting up here fanning out about Jerry Krause. You have to understand your post in life and be like, all right, I'm not the star here. I'm gonna take my money, and then the right people will know who I am. But this guy could not take the fact that, and I love this because they presented him as a villain. They said, he tried to get love from people who would not give it back to him. And he also was a guy who he was very insecure. He grew up as a fat, short kid, and he didn't like the fact that a lot of the players were getting more attention. He envied them. They made you feel sympathetic about him. They rubbed it in. It didn't help that they were calling his ass short and ugly at the same time too. There were points in the documentary where you saw Jordan just come up and just, because they knew they had all the power. They knew that they were the guys that would not be fired, no matter how much the GMs probably hated them. And they just took shots at him all the time.
I mean, they made fun of him. They mocked him. They mocked him openly.
Those are the pills you take to keep it short. Those diet pills.
It's like, God damn. What's he gonna do? He ain't not a goddamn thing.
Like how Martin introduced that clip though.
What?
Nothing, man.
There's even worse. They don't have clips for it, but they talk about how Scottie Pippen treated him when he was bad.
Oh yeah, Scottie Pippen, man, was a guy that he just talks. You thought that was bad. Scottie Pippen would just sit in the back of the bus and just pretty much just say, "Hey, fuck you, you ugly fuck." But
Jesus Christ,
they couldn't say this. They couldn't even say.
God damn.
So they just pretty much, Michael Jordan just in a short way just said, "You're short, and fat, and ugly." Yeah. And this guy
unlike us.
Unlike us, yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing I would say about the documentary is that the guy, he's dead now. He died in 2017. So they're putting it out there with him, and that's it's always a tricky thing when you don't have the person there to defend themselves.
Right.
But they didn't totally shade the guy. They just said, hey man, this is the problems that he had with other people. This is what people did to him. I like the way that they did not try, unlike other documentaries that we have seen, even Tiger King, where they try to make something big and dramatic out of this.
It's just going through history and getting interviews from people, rare interviews that we didn't think we'd see.
Yeah.
People who are now so far past it, they're willing to talk about things.
That's probably why I liked it so much.
And Jordan's eyes are so red on this. I'm figuring he must have had a whole liter of whiskey by the time they start talking to him.
Got jaundice or something, man.
I mean, he's like Cyclops from the X-Men. His eyes are so red.
Yellow and red.
So I'm thinking he might deliver more truth than he's used to doing.
Man, that motherfucker has had red eyes for years. And I like either you smoke a lot of weed or you do a lot of crying.
Yeah.
Or both.
Or both. But, well, that's all that cigar smoke and all that booze, man. But I'm telling you, like, if you notice that whole interview, that glass level don't change. So somebody's up there, some servant is up there just pouring and keeping the
Somebody
same
was
level.
kept his ass juiced up, man.
Juiced up, because he was like,
I mean, shit. If you went to interview him, wouldn't you have a guy that you hired just to keep his glass full?
sure. Keep him talking.
Yeah.
He would think he was at Hogwarts the way that glass would keep refilling
That
itself.
shit goes on if you look, that shit goes on to the nighttime.
Yeah, it does.
It goes on to the night, and this glass is still full.
With ice in it. So that ice is getting refilled too.
He hired a refresher to come through. That glass ain't empty, man. They went to the wee hours.
Because look at him now. He's feeling good. Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you about this motherfucker Jerry. No, but and Martin's right. He probably had like 2 or 3 before they got there. He ain't doing shit. So he ain't got nothing to do.
Hey, you in this big ass house? You ain't doing nothing.
I ain't feel like doing nothing.
Shit, look, I brought that cocaine train up here too. Oh, yeah. I have to say that I did feel a difference between the second episode because while this is something that really centers on Jordan, and understandably so, I mean, that's just how it is. Michael Jordan, what you gonna do?
I mean, you have to. Man.
You have to, man. But, watching the second episode of this, that's where they start to actually depart from Michael Jordan and then get into other players, which is something from my understanding that you're going to be doing in later episodes. So you got Scottie Pippen, who they focused on in the second episode, and this is why I really love this, man, because I learned something from this, man. We watch these players, and I'm not one to sit up here and feel bad for multimillionaires.
Right.
But I mean, Michael Jordan said, I could not probably have done what I had done if I didn't have my number one teammate, Scottie Pippen. And it was really sad to see, and this is the stories that you want to watch this for, because this is universal, man. Bad deals, bad decisions. Scottie Pippen apparently signed a bad deal that was a long-term deal for years.
Oh, yeah.
So he couldn't
7 years.
7 years. He couldn't renegotiate that. He couldn't do anything with that, man. So he had to sit there and watch all these people gain probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times as much as he was when he was number 1 and number 2 ranked in multiple positions.
And no endorsement.
He's the number 2 ranked player, yet his pay is 102 on the scale.
Out of the whole NFL. I mean, NBA.
That's 100. That's 101 who play worse than him getting paid more. I mean, seriously, like 10 is a lot, but okay. They've been around for a while. You figure all the Celtics, they've been around, they're veterans, whatever. Okay, 20, there's other teams that have been around, but 50, you're like, what the f-? And then 100, 101.
And who's that one?
Man, that's just too much to stomach.
Even on the Chicago Bulls, man, on the team.
Yeah.
On the team, you got, so he's number 6, the highest paid number 6 on the team. You got people who don't even know who are making more money than you.
Yeah.
Because he signed a bad deal. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen are the ones who are making the name on the team, and he's the one that's the least looked after, man. And he has so much conflict. And you don't look, I don't feel sorry for somebody with $18 million. That's what his contract was for. But at the same time, it's just like, wow, you feel frustrated for him. And you also get inspired by him. This is a guy who came from a family with 12 children. Not 12 family members, 12 children. Yeah. That's a lot of that one was worn out.
Like irresponsible fucking.
Yeah.
No,
Well, yeah. And where his father and his brother are in wheelchairs.
Yep. And you had 2 family members in wheelchairs. And he's just kind of like, and you understand how complicated life is from this, man. He's like, I got 12 family members that I have to, siblings I got to look after. I got 2 members of my family in a wheelchair. I'm smart enough to understand that sports is fickle. One injury and I could be out.
Right.
So he's thinking like, I got to sign for this. I got to take this money. And it's just like, and you just never know how life's going to work out. And it's just, it's human drama like that is not sensationalized that I really love. Third episode is probably the one that's going to get you because that's where they're starting to focus on players. And now we're starting to focus on why there's such cultural phenomena, the cultural impact of them outside of the sport. Dennis Rodman's crazy ass, him going off to Las Vegas and partying his ass off, where people have to tell him like, man, calm your ass down.
Don't you have a game tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
The guy didn't sleep and
tomorrow,
go to games.
I mean, in like 6 hours.
Yeah, Jordan. There's episodes where Jordan tells more stories about why the let this guy go and party for 48 hours. You know he's not coming back. Now I got to go get his ass.
I come to practice. Phil calls me and says, look, Dennis wants to tell you something.
He's like, yeah, he's right.
he's like, got me like,
yeah, shit, all right.
I said, Dennis, what are you going to do? Well, I need to go to Vegas. I take the 48 hours.
48 hours is all it takes. That's more than enough.
Yeah, you dead in Vegas.
That's an Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah. The fucking the Hangover happened in 24 hours.
Yeah, let's say
48 hours. Come on, man.
And you done as Rodman. All you need is 12 hours.
All you need is 12 minutes.
Yeah.
As they get more and more into the series, then that's going to get into like the more broad cultural impact of what they're doing here. Dennis Rodman, for all you people in the Space Jam, that's when they're going to start getting into like the making of Space Jam. They're going to talk about, all the other things that you had no choice but to actually come in and take because Michael Jordan is everywhere. You remember the Mars Blackman commercials?
Oh yeah, him and Spike Lee.
Spike Lee,
Martin. Do you know?
Yes, Spike Lee, Martin. Yeah, man. Back when he had his big deal with Nike.
Do you know how I get up for my game? Do you know? Oh, money. Why you want to do that to me?
The whole crew started leaving out.
Yeah. I'm so tired of this motherfucker.
Just leave his little ass up there. I know Martin said he's not as much into it as I am, and I understand that because, like I said, I opened up saying, is this something that's going to interest you if you're not into sports, if you're not into the Chicago Bulls? Because that's what it's for. It's for super fans out there and whatnot, and nostalgic fans out there. But I got to tell you, I'm wrapped up, man. I want to see what's going to happen later.
Mm-hmm. I'm not wrapped up, but I am curious enough to stick around for a couple more episodes.
Right now, while watching this, I can't say what's going to happen later on down the line, but I give this a full price, man. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the filmmaking behind it. It's funny that ESPN is one of the few channels. I'm sure and if you go to Netflix and look for it, you'll find. But ESPN is one of the few places that's producing stuff and saying like, hey, we're just doing straightforward storytelling. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to trump this up to anything else other than that.
Not on Netflix.
I mean, I'm sorry, ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Netflix co-produced this.
Yeah, it makes you think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's not available. Don't even go.
Yeah, it's funny. I looked for it on Netflix, and it wasn't there. I was like, man, how am I supposed to watch this?
You have to have a subscription to a TV service.
And when I looked for it, it said, oh, if you got Hulu, you can get it.
I got Hulu through Spotify. You can't do some side deal with Spotify.
You can't do side shit.
Like, you got that bootleg shit. Never mind.
Yo, man, I got some Rolex here. Check it out.
No, you can't be in the alley dealing with Hulu, man.
Trying to do some side shit. Nah, Negro, you can't be doing that. Take your ass back all over the...
No, you got Hulu.
Yeah.
I spent an hour today trying to like say, hey, but Hulu said I could come in. Hey, you ain't on the list.
Yeah, and now with them shoes on.
No. Hulu, come on in, but you ain't on the list.
Yeah, you can go
Hulu,
and
tell them I'm with you.
Yeah, Hulu.
Yeah, man, get off my coattails.
I see you, man.
Hey, you gonna have to go to the back of the line.
I'm gonna get you in. Don't worry about it. Slam.
Martin, how you feel about it?
Like I said, you know what? It's one where only 2 episodes in of 10. Jesus Christ. I can't. I'm gonna withhold full judgment. Right now, for me, it's a matinee.
This is up there, man. This is good. This is good stuff.
I gotta say, I love just spending time with Jordan, old Jordan, in his new home. I just want to hang out there.
Yeah, why not? Everybody else
wants to.